everybody, welcome to Comics a la Mode, the podcast where we talk about geek culture such as comics, gaming, TV, movies, Marvel, DC, anything under the sun that floats our boat. Welcome to episode 2 on YouTube, but legacy number episode 47 of the podcast. I'm Russ, and as always, we have Landon.
What's up, guys?
Welcome. This is going to be the second episode that is on YouTube. We had, we're plugging away. We did have one comment on, so we'll talk when we talk about House of Dragon, we'll shout you out.
That was cool to hear.
Yeah,
especially because it was not somebody we knew. It's like a random person commenting on our YouTube page. Those are the people that we're trying to reach, like the people who don't know about us, and the people who do know us are like, oh cool, you guys have a podcast, that's great. You guys are also welcome, but like we want new listeners, we want to get our names out there. So we'll give that guy a shout out, but thanks for commenting, man.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Hey, before we get into everything, I have been thinking a little bit this week. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month, if you all don't know. And as someone who has struggled with mental health and their and depression and everything, I did want to talk about this a little bit because I read somewhere, this is I don't want to get too down in the dumps, but I did want to talk about the fact that like there are statistics right now that 2022 is one of the highest death rates in males because of mental health. And that is sad. That is such a sobering thing to think about when we look at where we are today. And so because of that, I just want to say to anyone who is listening, you are not alone in any of this. We all struggle with it to varying degrees, but we all do struggle with it all the same. You're not alone. And the coolest thing about the different mediums that Landon and I talk about is that there are artists, there are writers, there are directors, there are movies, there are all sorts of different things that talk about, that really focus in on mental health. And there's a reason for that. It is because this is an issue that so many people struggle with. And so you're not alone at all, ever. You're never alone. Please, whatever you do, if you're ever feeling, where you just feel like you don't have an out, call someone, talk to someone, because you always do have, there's always an opportunity.
There's always somebody that wants to be there to listen.
Exactly.
And if you're somebody who's watching this, that me or Russ, and you're struggling with this, man, reach out to either of us.
For sure.
We're here to help you guys. We're here to create community and foster conversation, and everybody's included. We want everybody. So I'm glad you brought that up, Russ. And there's a little piece of news that goes along with that as well.
So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. A couple things for sure. We've talked about Obi-Wan. For me, Obi-Wan is absolutely, if you watch it and you really study it, for me, Obi-Wan is a show about what's the word?
PTSD.
PTSD. Obi-Wan is absolutely a show about PTSD. The Miracle Man comic series by Tom King is also it's a story about PTSD. It's a story about depression. It's a story about that. There are really good comics. I know, me too. Honestly, I think one of these episodes, once we have a break and we can actually focus on some comics, we need to do that.
And also his Vision run. Vision, Miracle Man, like both of those things. Tom King's a freaking legend, but like both those runs on my list of stuff to get to eventually.
I just wanted the first intro to this episode to talk about that. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, and there is a fight right now in when it comes to men, and I just want to reach out and say you're not alone. we all struggle with it. I struggle with it a lot, personally, and there's always someone to talk to. And so with
that's
that,
a great way to start things off. It's
yeah,
important that we cover some of these real life topics as well. We're here to have fun and talk about nerdy stuff, but you got
and
to
in
be
a
real
lot of
sometimes.
ways,
It's a bad thing out there.
so you guys all know, like in a lot of ways, this is the stuff that keeps me, is what I push into when I am struggling with my own mental health.
Yeah.
And so that is why I am so nerdy about this stuff.
And for many of us, I think we could say that a lot of these, a lot of different forms of media, television, movies, comic books, they deal with big issues like that. A lot of times. You just mentioned Kenobi. Moon Knight is dealing with a lot of that too. I mean, that's a new issue that came out today. And you know why we keep coming back to these issues and these different forms of media and art is because we're looking for that connection and we're looking for that deeper meaning and we're hoping to find it in this stuff, and it's nice to have that comfort there when you're going through hard times, and of course, like we said, me and Russ we always got your back. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. I think that's one of the reasons a couple of the books that I keep returning to, and it's because of that. Perfect example. Like I don't pick up Ghost Rider very often. I just don't think it's, I just don't care. Like I like the character, but I've never been like interested really in it. And I think Benjamin Percy right now is doing a really cool job with dealing with some of that like dissociative identity disorder and that all of that kind of stuff in Ghost Rider. And so that's why I continue to pick it up.
For sure.
Slowly adding.
Also, it's got a great cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This most recent one had freaking Wolverine on it.
Man.
And it literally
Wolverine
says
Ghost Rider.
It's like Ghost Rider versus Wolverine. Enough said. And I'm like, well, that's just the best. That's just the best, cover ever. Why not?
If the porch message last night was not about discipline, I would have gone ham in the comic book shop today and just bought as many things as I could because I saw that. Saw the Wolverine cover. I saw the Punisher cover. Apparently, a new issue of Punisher came out either last week or this week. It was almost sold out. There's only one issue of that left.
The knife.
He's got a samurai sword. I was flipping through the issue, but the big thing that grabbed me was Ares, the god of war. Has returned, and I have not seen him since like Siege, back when he got ripped in half by Sentry. So that had me kind of like, I should maybe read.
They are prepping a war versus the Punisher and Daredevil.
With the hand involved and everything.
Daredevil's got the fist. He's making the fist, and then you've got Punisher, who's now the like.
Exactly.
Piece of fuzz on me.
He's the leader of the hand.
Yeah, he's the like the
got that new logo. He's kind of rocking some some ninja robes, and he's got some swords and some blades about him. That had me really interested. I wonder like how Ares returned, but anyways, yes, sure. Discipline and try not to buy everything.
But yeah, no, I totally get it. There's a couple things in news that is just like it's brief mentions. I'm a huge Witcher 3 fan. The Witcher 4 has been announced that it is going to be coming out, and apparently news came out either today or yesterday that they've said that it is going to kick off a saga of 3 games. So we're going to get another 3 Witcher games, which I think is really cool. I'm really excited about. I think
like video games. For some reason, I thought you meant like tournament games within the series, and that's my head is still in House of Dragon. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, so
video games, the Witcher
that's
games,
really cool. I'm really excited about that, guys. We're getting closer and closer to Modern Warfare 2's release, and me getting back into the hard, just getting all into Call of Duty. I'm so excited.
Listen, man, me and you, we dove into some games this weekend. I told you about how I did a deep dive.
Yeah, I did.
Literally deep dive into BioShock, right? Because the city at the bottom of the ocean.
True.
Loved that. I had a day off on not Monday. Well, we all had a day off on Monday, some of us, but Tuesday I took a day to just kind of veg and just do my thing, and it was much needed. great day of rest, but I just dove into BioShock and I played the whole campaign in like a
Nice.
day and just love that game and that story. Sound like you were playing something too.
Yeah. So Saturday, I kind of had a similar day where I was like, well, I got nothing to do. I'm good. And so I kind of took a mental health day and played. I started playing Control, which is a game that came out, I think, last year
Mhm.
that has been critically acclaimed. And I started playing it, and they started making mention to the game that developer had done previously, which was Quantum Break. And the interesting thing about Quantum Break is that they did like a TV show with this game. So there would be like cuts that you would like play through an act, and then there would be a cut and the TV show would play. And the TV show episodes were like 15 minutes, and then it would cut back to gameplay, and that would have like influence. It would like tell a different piece of the story that you weren't playing. Very interesting. And I just literally all day I sat and played that game, and literally finished it. I rolled credits on the game. I literally woke up at like 11:30. I like went to the gym. I came back and I woke up at like 10, and then went to the gym, and then came back, and then just played the game all the way through, and it was fun. Like,
It was fun. I had a great time. You know?
No, but it was fun. I will say one thing I have been thinking about, and if anybody watches this and hears this, let me know what you think. But I've played the Guardians of the Galaxy game. I also have it.
Wow, yeah, I forgot about that one.
So I think what I want to do is, I think I want to do a let's play, like a playthrough of that game for this channel, for the Comics a la Mode channel. I think that would be really fun for us to do. Do you, Landon? Do
Me
you have an
included?
Xbox?
I have an Xbox.
I'll do it because I have the Series X, so it'd be nice, cool, crispy graphics.
For sure.
But the other thing that I was thinking is that maybe, depending on how expensive it is, I don't know if it's on sale, and also I don't know if you actually want to get it. I have the Avengers game, so like for me, it's like I But I was gonna say, like, it would be fun, whenever the next expansion comes out, because they always have some story expansion that comes out. Last one was the Wakanda one for Black Panther.
Was it Wakanda or was it Spider-Man? Another introduced Spider-Man.
They introduced Spider-Man before Wakanda. Wakanda was like the big update patch that like added, like, I think the campaign for that update was like 2 hours.
Oh, big deal. Wow.
And so I was thinking maybe, like, again, monetary, if it's still expensive, then we can figure something else out. But it would be fun.
It's got to be on sale by now.
It's got to be on sale. It's got to be on sale. And so it would be fun. We could play that together and do it, and record a video, talk about, we'll talk, we'd find a fun topic Marvel wise to talk about while we play it, and we could do that
for sure.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
I'm interested in the is Guardians of the Galaxy only next gen consoles? Is that the problem?
No, it's current gen.
Whatever gen.
It's current gen. I played it on my other on my older Xbox. The only thing is it's a single player game. So that is one thing. So it would be one of those things, like, if we were to do that, my idea was, because I stream, I would just stream the game and then, cut chunks and whatever, and then, dub over if I wanted to talk about something Guardians of the Galaxy related or whatever. But
yeah, man, if you want to,
if we wanted
stuff, I'm down.
Yeah, we could do that.
I got a mic, I got a game, I got an Xbox,
Exactly. So I was thinking we could do some of that. Like, that would be fun. Sure. One day, if I could ever get my hands on a PlayStation and get Spider-Man, I would love to do that.
Dying to play Spider-Man.
Because that game is amazing.
I've struggled. I've struggled to not watch like the campaign and playthroughs of it, because I really want to.
You need to, because
I really want to experience the story. I know some of the big major story beats, but I don't want to be spoiled about kind of the villain interactions. And
I got you.
I mean, I know a lot of the core stuff, but
it was a great game.
I don't really know the structure of the story exactly, so I'm trying to keep that sacred. But
actually, shout out Joe, my best friend.
Hey, Joe.
When I went out to Minnesota, I want to say last year. Yeah, when I went out to Minnesota last year, we had 2 days while I was out there that he still had to work. So
Oh,
I
I know where
just
this is
slept,
going.
dude. I just slept in, and then when I woke up, I like ate a bowl of cereal and played Spider-Man.
Oh,
And
yeah, of course.
and then, halfway through it, I switched to Miles Morales because I was like, you know what? I don't really want to go through the campaign. I more or less just want to swing around the city and fight crime. And so that's what I did.
Mhm.
And then I switched over to Miles Morales, and Miles Morales is such a good game too.
Oh, it's
And then,
beautiful.
and then I was like, you know what? I love the Uncharted games. I want to play Uncharted. So I started playing Uncharted 4. Yeah, that almost made me pick up a PlayStation for
I'm
sure.
gonna switch. I'm gonna make the switch. I'm dying to play Spider-Man,
Oh,
and
nice.
I've always
And
held on
Wolverine
to
is coming
Xbox.
out.
Wolverine's coming
Wolverine is
out,
coming out.
Spider-Man 2, you got Venom thrown in there, so that's gonna be great. I've always
I'm
held on
gonna.
to Xbox because I was in love with the Halo franchise, but I'm kind of falling
Sure.
out of that. Now, Infinite was not the experience that I was hoping it was. It was fine. It was kind of a return to normalcy,
Yeah, true.
but it was just kind of there. It was kind of lax for me. I didn't really get into it so much. And I'm not a huge multiplayer guy, so I don't really care about all the live service people are complaining about.
Got you.
But I'm going to make the switch to the PS5 if I can ever
Nice.
find one, get my hands on one.
Dude, I
Play Spidey.
can't believe that I found a Series X, honestly. I didn't think that they were even available, but they were.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I will pick up a PlayStation when Wolverine comes out. I think I'm gonna be that guy that has both, because again, you and I have talked about this a lot, and our audience knows I am a big multiplayer fan, and all of my friends are on Xbox. Like, I have 2 friends on PlayStation, so it doesn't make any sense for me to switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, dude, I love getting lost in a single player game. I love getting lost in one. That's why I'm so excited about The Witcher 4 to come out, because I'm ready to get lost in that fantasy world, which is why I have been so excited the last like week, because
fantasy overload
I got
these past
House
couple
of
weeks.
Dragon, and I got Lord of the Rings. Oh my gosh.
Rings of Power. Got 2 episodes of Rings of Power.
That's great.
I've only watched the 1 episode, but we'll get into it a little bit later.
But yeah, I guess we could talk. Let's talk comics. Last week's episode, we talked a little bit about the Spider-Man.
Wait, you said you cut it. Did you cut it or not?
I don't remember. I think I cut it, and I can't remember. I need to go back and rewatch.
Somebody leave a comment below this video if we
yeah, exactly. Like, Russ, you cut it or you left it in, so now we just spent 15
we need Damon Targaryen to remind us if we talk about Spider-Man.
Retreading old territory. But the biggest thing about this issue that recently came out is that we are now moving down the line of this Norman Osborn storyline. Okay, so that you all remember what's been happening with Spider-Man. Issue 1 told us 2 things. 1, Spider-Man did something that pissed off everyone in the Marvel universe. That's number 1. We don't know what it is. Number 2, Mary Jane is now married and has kids. So those are 2 very giant things that have happened in the Spider-Man universe that we still have no answers to. But, whoa, all right, I don't know what happened with my, whatever. We just zoomed out.
We don't have answers.
I don't have any answers. I can't tell you.
We don't have answers to Mary Jane, her kids, what's going on, technical issues. We don't have answers.
But now we're in this era where Norman Osborn has invited Peter Parker to come work at his new company. Norman Osborn is seemingly reformed, correct? Because of the Sin Eater. The Sin Eater essentially shot him and took all of his sins. So now Norman Osborn is no longer the Goblin. He is just Norman Osborn. He's also a better version of himself, because Norman Osborn was always at 2 sides of kind of the same coin. The Green Goblin was like was a bad guy,
Of course.
obviously. But then Norman Osborn was always that like conniving, manipulative,
very shrewd in his own right, and not exactly a good guy. You know,
exactly.
He had his issues.
And so we have this reformed Norman, and it's kind of cool. It's cool to see this guy who is actually like, hey, I'm sorry for what I did to you and what I've done to you all of these years. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to kind of make amends.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It's there's an episode of Rick and Morty where Rick and Morty go to a spa that takes out your toxins. Oh, yes. And you get Toxic Rick and Toxic Morty, which is basically the worst parts of them thrown into a gooey, green, awful, toxic individual. Like it basically splits the personality, so all your toxic traits are in one body, one gross, horrible body, and then you get to go out of the spa and live your life without these toxic traits, right? No. And that's kind of what I perceive Norman as here. Is he's much better. He's much more easy to talk to. He has a little bit more of a caring side to him, and it's like all those horrible goblin qualities and that conniving business side of him. He's still, I think he's still a very ruthless businessman, but he has more empathy when it comes to the people in his life and the people that surround him.
I think that's the biggest thing is he has empathy.
Exactly.
I think Norman Osborn
cared about Peter's well-being.
I think Norman Osborn didn't have empathy when he had Green Goblin.
Yeah, he was an egomaniac. You know, he was.
So I think he actually has empathy now.
Yeah. And I really like the way that Peter interacts with Norman as well, because he is still pretty wary of Osborn. He's like, hey, man, your sins may be gone, but I have not forgotten what you've done to me. Or maybe is he still aware? I feel like he is, because he's still pretty untrustworthy of
Norman, that's very much. That's very much. It's I know what Sin Eater did to you.
Mm-hmm. And Norman may not be aware or whatever, but
I don't trust it entirely because we've been down this road before. You have told me you were reformed, and then you stabbed me in the back. So we've been down this road before.
Yeah,
and that's why
I really like how Peter was wary of that. And
and so one of the things I loved about this issue is that was a great dichotomy to the Vulture trying to kill Spider-Man. Now, the Vulture is trying to kill Spider-Man because his granddaughter, who has been in Miles Morales' book, and she is now Starling, I guess. Yeah, I think Starling.
Not familiar
is
at all.
Essentially she looks like Falcon. Like her costume looks very much like old school Falcon.
Following the Tomb's legacy, very bird themed.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so Miles told her about the fact that her grandfather is a killer. Like her grandfather is not a nice dude, and like her grandfather kind of left that out when he kind of told her that she that he had this suit and
he's not really out there telling people or especially his granddaughter or whatever. I used to murder a bunch of people.
So so this issue
not gonna let that go.
This issue opens with Falcon and his Vulture and his granddaughter talking, and she's like, Spider-Man told me you were a killer, and old man Vulture is like, I'm gonna kill him, and goes after Peter. And Peter's like, what is happening? He's like, I don't understand what is happening.
Tiana
is the girl's name. Tiana, you're right. And he beats the crap out of Spider-Man. Like he beats the crap out of Peter.
Dude, this is a fight.
His web shooters. He literally just keeps he takes him to really high and just drops him, and then lets him fall for a good long time, and then goes in and swoops and picks him back up, brings him back high, and drops him again.
I've never considered the Vulture much of a threat to Spider-Man, because in all the cartoons and all the video games, he's just the guy that can fly. Sometimes he has projectile weapons, feathers or whatever. His thing is he's old and he flies. He doesn't have any superpowers normally, and he's just an old man with a cranky attitude with a flight suit. Exactly. Here, he is on a war path. He's on a direct line to Spider-Man. He's like, I am going to kill you. Yeah. And I loved how this issue showed that he can be a threat, even though he is just a man. and Spider-Man has this incredible strength, this incredible technology. You know, he's got this power and everything.
The thing
It was
Spider-Man doesn't
cool.
have is he can't fly.
No, he
So
can't.
if he gets dropped from a very high place, he still goes splat.
Which is why I appreciated how this issue kind of showed us that Toomes is not, he's not new at this. He and Spider-Man have been fighting for a long time. He knows what to go for. He slashes the web shooters, and then he drops him like a sack of potatoes across New York. And Spider-Man's like, I'm screwed. I have to come up with something. What does he end up doing? Does he create like a parachute or something out of his webs?
No, I think what he does is he like takes the web fluids and essentially just starts chucking them to like hopefully
create like
have them break into like create like a net. So in this whole thing, he's like screaming at Norman, "Hey, bring me the suit, because they worked on a suit." And in the previous issue, Spider-Man was like, "I don't want that thing. I don't want it at all. Get that thing.
It's
away
coming from
me.
Osborn. I want nothing to do with it."
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with you and your suit that you created for me.
Ugly.
And he's just like running across rooftops, jumping across rooftops because he doesn't have web shooters anymore. And he's just like, he like calls up Norman, is like, "Dude, bring me the suit." And Norman's like, "No, I can't do that. I'm sorry." And he's like, "I don't have any location services on you. I can't find you." And he's like, "How do you not?" And he's like, "Because per our agreement, I didn't put that kind of stuff in this suit. Like I literally
he's trying to be good.
He's trying to be a good guy. So he's literally following Peter's instructions to the T."
Which is ironic, you know, coming from Norman Osborn.
And then, and then it's funny too, because like in this type of situation, you would think, okay, it's fine. You know what? Norman should just hop on the glider and go help Spider-Man. And literally Peter says that. He was like, "Dude, I don't care what you have to do. Bring me the suit.
I'm getting my butt handed me by
and he's
the
like,
Vulture."
No. He's like, "I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I'm sorry, Peter," and hangs up on Peter. So Peter's like, "All right, well, I got to get to Osborn."
You know, the thing about that moment there was there's a really great panel of Osborn, like his fist is clenching and you can see that there's kind of this war inside of him. He's like, he wants to help Peter, but he wants to stick to his guns and respect the boundaries that were set up between them. And then there's a great shot like over the shoulder and you see the suit and everything. I'm like, oh shoot, Osborn's gonna put on this goblin spider Oscorp armor. He's gonna fly out there. He's gonna kick Vulture's butt, and then it's gonna be the reveal that Osborn's heroic identity is this goblin spider or whatever. That was my first thought reading this. I was like, oh, he's gonna put that suit on and go help Peter. No, that's not what happens. But I was like, that would be cool, I think, if he did that.
Peter uses Vulture to essentially bring him to Oscorp so that he can get the suit. And he comes out on this spider glider thing and beats Vulture.
Yeah.
I do not care. I do not care about this suit. I really don't. I think that honestly, this issue, the thing I care least about in this issue is the suit, because I think this issue is so strong in the storytelling that I do not care about the suit. I hope this suit does not become like really important to the story that they're telling moving forward, because I think that would do a disservice to Spider-Man, do a disservice to this version of Norman Osborn that they are telling the story in.
I would agree. Because, you know, it kind of cheapens the emotional weight of the relationship between Osborn and Peter that's kind of brewing right now.
Because
if it's just, oh, here's the new spectacle, right? Here's this cool thing. And
because the biggest thing I love about this issue is that we spend all this time just Peter getting his ass handed to him handily. And then we have this interaction with Norman and Peter. And Peter is just like, "Dude, what the hell? Like, I am going to die." Like, and Peter says that a couple times. He's like, whatever this Vulture is hopped up on right now, which honestly, all it was just rage for the fact that he just lost his granddaughter. Like he lost, it's just raw anger for the fact that he just lost
granddaughter away, the only person that
relationship with his granddaughter. He's like, I'm gonna die. And Peter's very just straightforward. He's saying that in his head. He's like, I'm dead. I'm gonna die.
Embarrassing.
And then we get the suit. The suit's really cool. and he defeats Vulture, which we all kind of figured was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the next really good part of this issue, and it's literally Peter and Norman talking, and Peter's like, dude, what in the world? Why wouldn't you bring me in this suit? And Norman goes into it like, he's like, dude, like, you don't understand. I wanted to. He's like, I wanted to help you so badly. I wanted to put this suit on. I wanted to jump on the glider, and I wanted to go save you. But he's like, the problem is, no matter how much I want to feel that whatever the Sin Eater did to me has taken the goblin away completely, the minute I hop on that glider, in my head, he's back. And I love this issue so much. It does such a good job. I know we were only going to talk about it for a little bit, but like I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for a while, and really like love the depth that this issue goes into, especially with Norman's psyche. And it affects Peter. It affects Peter. Peter for the last couple issues has been like, Osborn, I literally do not want anything to do with you. I do not want anything to do with you.
In the end, they enter a partnership, right? They shake hands by the end.
After hearing Norman kind of go through the process of what happened in that whole fight, he's like, you know what? I will accept your job offer. So now we have Peter Parker working in Oscorp, which, you know, it's a Spider-Man. So obviously he loses his job and then gains a job, you know, however.
You get a cheeky nod to Parker Industries by that really spry intern that's running around. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I mentioned Parker Industries or whatever, but that was kind of funny.
Exactly.
And then I was super glad that we didn't dig too much into the Mary Jane stuff, because she shows up. Maybe it was the episode or the issue before this, but like I remember seeing her show up, and I was not interested in that at all, because it was weird and awkward between the two of them. I don't like that. And then the guy showed up, and I'm like, yeah, this is wrong.
Well, because that guy punched Peter in the face.
Yeah, that's what they said. So
that was the whole point, is that he punched Peter in the face.
But the Osborn Peter stuff is really the pull of this whole arc right now.
I will say I'm still very excited to see what is going on with the whole Mary Jane thing. Again, this is one of the reasons I love Spencer's run, was because he brought Peter and Mary Jane back together. And so this run, breaking them apart, really kind of, I hate that.
We're back to this again.
We're back to this again, and it just kind of sucks. I just feel like they just do not want him to grow up. They do not want to allow him to grow up. And as someone who is growing up, and Spider-Man is my favorite character, I want to watch him grow up, because I want to see, I want to see life mirrored.
I've always appreciated the older Peters. And their wisdom, and having done battle so long and been in the suit so long and done the hero thing for years. And I like that that veteran aspect to him, and how everybody in the superhero community like looks to Peter because he is the ideal. The values that he has is just phenomenal, and the awareness that Osborn is showing, like at the end of the issue, was fantastic. So this is one that we're going to be watching
great issue
throughout the coming weeks.
This is definitely this arc has really piqued my interest, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Not the last you'll hear of the Amazing Spider-Man on this podcast.
Again, we it's kind of turned into a running joke for us, but God, somebody get Romita Jr.
Romita's art sucks. Please. There, we said it.
Please. Dear God. Like
you know what? It is what it is.
When Peter's in the Spider-Man suit, it's not that bad. But the minute he starts drawing like normal people faces, that's when I'm just like, I'm out. I'm lost.
Especially Vulture, the ugly old man that Vulture is. When you throw on this art style on top of that,
no. With Vulture, it works because he's supposed to look like an ugly old man. So like it works. I mean, that kind of
you're not wrong, but man, Adrian
anyways,
too.
We're gonna transition to TV.
Let's do it.
And one day we're gonna have this cool, like, anytime we transition topics, we're gonna have like I want to have like a cool like transition page that says TV. Would be really cool. But I'm not a graphic designer.
We have a good transition, verbal transition. You know, we're sticking with the Marvel theme. We're going to talk about She-Hulk, right? We're going to stick with the theme here.
She-Hulk!
Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh,
I'm going to start twerking.
No. Stop.
I don't think I've ever twerked in my life. Have you?
Thank God. No,
yeah. I don't think I ever have. I don't think I can. I don't want to.
I may have repressed memories, but we won't go into that. We won't go into that.
Why'd they do this to us?
Okay, so
oh man,
what did you think? Okay, so we've already established that you're not a sitcom person.
Have we? We talked about it, but maybe the podcast listeners don't know. I am not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of that kind of scripted television where it's you got laugh tracks and it's like these quick 20-minute episodes and they're not taken very seriously. I hate The Big Bang Theory. I don't like Friends. I'm much more of like a Office kind of guy.
I still love Friends, and I do actually like Big Bang Theory. So please don't leave just because he doesn't like it.
It's totally fine.
Please come back. Please come back. Don't check out. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Hey, at least we still got half of this podcast enjoys those kind of things. You're right. You need some salt and pepper. You need something to balance it out. So I don't like that stuff. She-Hulk isn't for me. I've expressed my distresses with this show so far, and this episode was nothing different. I don't really care for the tone of this. I don't really care for what's happening in the plot, especially when you factor in this other lawyer and how he's trying to, go up to bat against an elf, and like she has nothing to do with anything except introduce Megan Thee Stallion, and I'm like, this is so bad. I don't like this at all. And the end credit scene just was the icing on the cake. So that's my thoughts on She-Hulk. Let's get into some more positive stuff, though. What did you think, Russ? Because I could be negative about it all day.
I am a sitcom fan. Yeah. I do think this episode was better to me than the previous ones. Other than the fact that I still love anything that has Bruce in it. And so, yes, I'm feeling the loss of having Bruce in it. But what I will say, and it's really funny, is she makes mention to the fact that, like, don't expect another, like, this cameo.
Remember whose show this is.
Remember whose show this show. This isn't a cameo show. And she's like, wait.
It kind of is, though.
We had Bruce. We had Abomination.
That's right. She starts listing them off.
And I'm like, okay, that was funny. Like, that was great. But
I have to expect Liv Tyler as Betty Brant or Betty Ross to just pop up and have her be like, "Oh, you were in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film." Yes.
Oh gosh, no! Please, let's not do that. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I think it's very middle of the road for me. I think I liked it more. The sitcom aspect of it, I liked more in this episode than I did the previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved everything with Abomination. I think that was amazing. I love the fact that, like, when he's talking to the board, he's like, well, you know what? I'll just show you, and starts taking off the Crocs. And
he just keeps taking his clothes off, and everybody's like, stop,
no, don't do that. And then he changes into Abomination and he just freaks everybody out.
I will actually go against type and say that I didn't mind the Abomination stuff. I'm still not a huge fan of the direction that they're taking that character. But if you recall the last podcast that we did, where I was just absolutely,
it was you were not a fan.
I was like angry about it.
Yeah,
I've softened into it a bit. You know what? At least we got the same actor, and they're doing comedy. Times passed, and it was kind of charming. I still feel like the Namaste stuff and the Sister Wives kind of pen pal group he's got going on is a little much.
Here's what I will say to that. There's no way, especially with the passing of the guy who played Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
There is no way Abomination is not going to be in the Thunderbolts movie. Oh, so you're going to get that version of Abomination. What you have to realize is, because this isn't a sitcom like feel, all these characters are going to be different because they are playing up that sarcasm, that sarcastic humor aspect of it. And the perfect example of this is, did you see Marvel's poster of Matt Murdock.
Whoa, like Charlie Cox on a poster?
Yeah. So
no, I don't want
posted,
to. Is that a thing? I've not heard of this.
They posted a She-Hulk poster that has
Is it
Charlie.
fan art?
No, it's literally on Marvel. It's Charlie Cox, as Matt Murdock.
Is this recent? Is this like news that dropped today? No, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I know he's coming probably tomorrow, so just
probably.
Is it good at least? Does he look?
Yeah,
is he doing like a Nightwing ass to frame?
It's not like it's terrible. It's kind of like, it's kind of like this. I can't find the actual, but it's kind of like this. Gotcha. And it's just Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Disney Plus really does like dropping their character posters. It's kind of a nice little thing after the episodes to see, who's going to get a poster.
And so it's just one of those things that it when I saw that poster, I was like, okay, this is very sitcom-esque. Like, this makes sense.
I like the posters.
So that's where I will say, like, if you're gonna get the Abomination you want, you just have to wait till Thunderbolts.
I'm happy to do that. I'm very excited for Thunderbolts. My only rebuttal would be to that is,
for sure,
it's a shared universe, and when you kind of change the characters' tones and feels just based on the series, it just makes everything feel a bit disjointed.
He's not going to change I don't think he's going to change drastically, but he's still going to be doing like action stuff in that movie. So like you're going to get to see him in action.
I think he's going to do some action stuff in this series.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's a lot that we have not seen, especially when you consider like we have 7 episodes left, 8 episodes, or something like that. There's a lot more episodes in this series.
I think it's 10.
But I also kind of am formulating a theory that Emil's faking all this, because at the end of the episode, he gets his way. He gets out of prison. There are caveats, and he has to not turn into the Abomination, or else his ass is going straight back to jail. But he's out. What's that going to be like?
Could also be a way that he gets into the Thunderbolts. Like say that now. I don't know.
Valentina's definitely going to show up to recruit.
I don't know which way. I don't know which way they're going to take Thunderbolts, because the way they've set up Valentina, it feels very much like a Suicide Squad-esque thing. So it could be that like he gets sent back to prison, but then Valentina picks him up and like hey, I can commune your sentence if you come do some community service, and community service is, hey, you're on the Thunderbolts kind of thing. They could do something like that. I don't know if they are, so we have no idea how that's going to play out. But yeah, other than the Abomination stuff, everything else sucked. Honestly, I like.
Hold on, what do you think of Wong?
Oh, we got Wong. That's why I said the Abomination stuff.
Okay, he was tied to that story. That side was great.
Storyline
not great,
was great.
I liked it,
and like it was fun. And the other side like worked for me up until they went so heavy on the Megan Thee Stallion stuff that then when she popped up, I was like, oh.
Dude,
God.
I was even out when they started playing around with the Asgardian magic stuff. I'm like, this ain't it. This ain't it for me. I don't know.
I like
impersonating the judge and then Megan Thee Stallion's there, and that all didn't work. I don't like the way that they're writing that horrible male character. It's like he's just there to formulate these political ideologies, and like nobody is actually like that. Really, come on.
Yeah,
and then poor Adrian Chase. The actor who was great in Arrow is just downgraded to this frumpy lawyer.
I feel bad for him. I feel bad that he's
great in Arrow.
This role.
Prometheus?
He's great in Arrow. He's great in Arrow.
Killed it. Maybe he's got something coming. But
overall, this show is not what I've been hoping for. It's honestly exactly what I thought it was going to be. And so I think that's why my expectations are so low that I'm somewhat enjoying it. I'm probably not going to watch this a second time. Like, this is definitely one of those shows that I just won't rewatch. I'll rewatch certain segments. I'll rewatch whatever banner is in, and I'll rewatch whatever segments are important. Like, I'll probably rewatch like the last episode. Especially like if I'm doing a Marvel rewatch, I'm going to watch like the first 2 episodes and then the last episode, because we all know that the last episode of any Disney Plus show is the one that actually matters.
I was going to say, it kind of ties into my theory that I've been formulating. So the other side of this is like the last scene we got in this episode. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is,
Yeah.
though. She-Hulk gets ambushed by the
Yeah.
shittiest wrecking crew I've ever seen in my life. My God, what
Okay,
a
wait,
downgrade those guys got.
was that actually the wrecking crew? I could not remember.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that
So
was
you have
bad.
Pile Driver, you have Wrecking Ball, you have Wrecker, and you have the guy with the arms. I don't care. One of them was so downgraded, he just wore like a hard hat, and that's it.
Yes.
Like, come on, dude, give him something. Give him a weapon. You got guys with crowbars. They got Asgardian runes on them or whatever.
I will say,
Ridiculous.
I actually
hated
thought
that.
it was hilarious. I thought it was
funny, but it was
Dude,
like it took me out of it.
Nobody gives a crap about the wrecking crew.
But
like
they could do them so.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants them done well.
That. The wrecking crew. Come on, you got.
You're the only wrecking crew fan.
They're just
you're the only wrecking crew fan.
Avengers,
they are just
Earth's mightiest heroes. They took them down, but at least they had something to them. You know what I mean? This is just a joke.
That's what they are,
and that's what they're meant to be. I get it, but I'm like, ugh.
The only thing that they were there to do was to push a plot thread forward. That is, there is someone trying to get her blood. We don't know who.
I have a theory of,
but there is someone trying to get her blood. What's your theory?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, so
let's hear it.
So the wrecking crew was only there to kick off this plot, right? Russ is correct, and I think. Listen, the tone of this fits really well with the way that they portrayed Samuel Stearns, played by Tim Blake Nielsen. Right? Okay, so I just watched The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
he's kind of wacky. He gives a line where he's like, I've always been much more curious than cautious, right?
Right.
Who goes after the Hulk's blood all the time? Who's currently off planet? Not able to kind of help out with the superhero aspect of things. I think the leader is out there. And since Emil Blonsky's ass is out of prison, who do you think is coming for him? Right? The leader. This has been something brewing for a long time. People don't know where the leader's been.
I don't hate
Tim Blake
that.
Nielsen, man, he kind of fits the tone of this show.
I don't hate that. And actually, he kind of does. Plus, the leader has always been wacky in the comics, too. So it would make sense that he's just kind of like completely just like a wonky character that would just kind of like make sense in this.
Yeah, you know how Disney Plus likes its last twist villains. Look at the Kingpin. Look at the Kingpin.
I don't hate that.
We're gonna get leader, bro. I'm telling you.
I don't hate that. I kind of like that. All right,
I kind of like that too. That's something that's kind of this little thing, you know.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that this show needs is it needs something to tie it to the greater Marvel universe right now. I think I am as someone who loves Hawkeye to absolute death. Hawkeye was one of those shows that didn't really tie into the larger than life Marvel universe. Yes, it provided us to show the Kingpin, which is going to move us forward in the universe, which is great. But at the end of the day, it is a Christmas story. It is a story about Hawkeye. It is a story about Kate Bishop, and it is very, at home. It's very a very small story, which I love. This, though, because it's She-Hulk and because she is a Hulk,
big deal.
There needs to be something more, and it needs that, because right now it just feels like just a sitcom, and I don't. It's Marvel, so it shouldn't feel like just that. It should feel like something more.
I agree. You know, it's a project that recently came out that really didn't feel like it had any bearing on the Marvel universe.
What?
The Eternals really didn't have any connective tissue with the greater MCU.
Okay.
And then I was going to say...
Let's hope Thomas doesn't hear this, because he will go on a rant that I will have to listen to for like 3 years.
I'm probably not going where you think I'm going, because
continue.
A lot of the Easter egg sites and the kind of discourse around some of the nods to the comics and greater MCU things and little Easter eggs and things. I did not catch this first time around, because I'm not the kind of guy that looks at the newspaper strips and like what the words are. Is it a proper article? I don't care.
I want to talk about this.
But one of those things was the giant celestial man made of
hand.
stone in the Indian Ocean is finally brought up by something somewhere. You'd think that'd be a big
Finally.
thing.
Finally,
It makes no sense. It's so weird. It's like this should be
that was
all over the news. The Avengers, everybody should be on this, but like, who cares? It's just in the Indian
dumbest
Ocean.
thing that I hate that. I hate that movie with a burning passion. It is
The Eternals.
so boring. It is so boring. It is a very pretty movie. It is one of the most boring Marvel movies I've ever seen. At least Thor: The Dark World had Loki changing into Captain America.
Still had Loki,
and
right?
and it had just had Loki. That's it.
Loki.
It just had Loki. So it was going to be better than anything. Eternals is literally the worst Marvel movie on the block.
Eternals.
It is. We're printing that. This is on the internet, folks.
I was gonna say,
so
they
Joe
need
and Joe and Thomas, listen to me as I say this on the internet. All right, and on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And I'm probably going to clip this and post this on Twitter or
one
TikTok.
Of us will.
Eternals is worse. I'm going to look straight in the camera for this so that you guys know. Eternals is worse than Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 2.
Oh, no, I like Iron Man 2. At least Iron Man 2 had Justin Hammer.
Iron Man 2 is a guilty pleasure film for me.
Yes.
So is Wolverine Origins.
Yes.
Don't ask.
We've talked about that.
Eternals is worse than Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World. It's also probably I will do this right now. It is worse than Avengers: Age of Ultron.
It's Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Look at me and listen to these words. Everybody on the internet. It is worse than Avengers: Age of Ultron. It is a gorgeous movie. It is a gorgeous movie. It is boring beyond belief. And I do not care about what it sets up for the greater Marvel universe. That is a completely different story than how it is as a movie as a whole. It is worse than Thor: The Dark World. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right, I'm done ranting.
Captain Marvel is worse than all of them. That's my cold take. I was going to say, you know what Eternals needs? Eternals needs some sort of Megan Thee Stallion idiocy just injected into it, because there's no life in the Eternals. I love the ideas that it presents, and I think there's something
it needed to give its characters personality. That's what it needed.
Anyways, so that's mentioned. That's fun. There's one other thing in that news article. Do you want to mention it?
Shing. I just probably blew out everybody's eardrums. Shing, shing. Wolverine, baby.
We got a man in a bar.
Man in a bar pops his claws. Dude,
pops claws.
Honestly, that's the headline I want on my tombstone. I just want to be the man in the bar that pops his claws. Like, dude, if I could be the man in the bar that pops his claws,
dude, it gave me huge Wolverine PS4 teaser trailer vibes where he's just in the bar.
Everybody said that. And that's
like
fine.
The whole scene.
I have no problem with that. That's just Wolverine in general. That is how Wolverine is portrayed. I'm excited about that because we're continuing to get mutants. We're continuing to get teasing mutants. And that's what I've said. This is what I said when we talked about what the slate of Marvel looked like. Is it phase 5 that starts with Fantastic Four? No, phase 6. Phase 6 starts with Fantastic Four. And then the only other 2 movies in that slate are Avengers Secret Wars and Avengers Kang Dynasty. The rest of that slate, in my opinion, X-Men.
All mutants. Doesn't Kang Dynasty come out before Secret Wars, though?
Yes.
I think Kang Dynasty is wrapped up by the end of season 5.
No. Kang Dynasty, and then a year later.
Right, no, it's like but Kang Dynasty. Kang Dynasty is still part of Phase 5, is what I'm trying to say.
No. Kang Dynasty is 6. 6 is 2 Avengers movies.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Kang Dynasty comes out in May, and then we get in November we get Secret Wars.
Wow.
There's one movie. I think there's one movie in between those.
Okay, so all those Fox properties are coming back.
Yeah, we're gonna get Deadpool. Like we all know we're gonna get Deadpool.
We talked about in the car last night. She-Hulk and Deadpool have to meet at some point, right?
Yeah, for sure. She's the only other person that breaks the fourth wall. Okay, let's stop talking about Marvel.
Yeah.
We're done.
So that's She-Hulk.
She-Hulk's just meh. But let's get to the two properties that we're actually really, really, really enjoying, and that's House of the Dragon.
Ooh,
and Rings of Power. Rings of Power, baby.
I would love to talk about House of the Dragon first because Lord of the Rings is really fresh right now because I literally just got done watching it.
You want
we're in episode 3.
Give us the plot synopsis of what episode 3 goes into, and then we can talk about it.
So episode 3 is called something along the lines of Second Name Day or something, right? It's probably a huge time jump.
I mean, they talk about that for a long time. They talk about the Second Name Day.
Something that's cool about this whole season so far is there's a huge time jump in between these episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
So after episode 1, you have Daemon holding up in Dragonstone, right, for a couple years, and then that whole stuff goes down on the bridge, and then you have Daemon and Corlys Velaryon forming an alliance.
Episode 2, they talk about their alliance, and then
by episode 3, this war has been dragging on for like 5 years because Aegon the Second, who is the heir to
Aegon the Conqueror. Just so you guys know, Aegon, this kid, is the Mad King. That's one of the things that I remember I put together that I didn't realize. This is the Mad King.
I think it's one more generation. Right?
Oh, dang it.
I think it's Aegon. No, Aegon does incite the whole Dance of the Dragons thing, which is just how House Targaryen falls. So he is the impetus for all the bad shit coming. Yeah. He and Rhaenyra get into it, and you have the blacks and you have the greens, and those blacks
we're going to obviously get in this.
Blacks support Rhaenyra, and the greens support Aegon's claim to the throne.
Cool. Okay.
In this whole episode, one of the driving factors is who does Viserys really want to be his heir? He's questioning his decision to allot that position to Rhaenyra so early before conceiving a son with Alicent. So like I said, Aegon is like in his second year, which means two years have passed since.
He's 2.
What did I say, 5? The Conqueror babe is 5 years old. Anyways, so that's going down. But the real kicker of this episode and the coolest thing we've seen since maybe like Battle of the Bastards, there's a lot of parallels between that, is Daemon Targaryen and the Viserion forces, the Sea Snake, right? They're in the Stepstones combating the
they've been at this war for 2 years.
They've been at this war, even with their dragons. The crab feeder has evaded them. The first thing we see in this episode is a guy absolutely getting squashed by Daemon and Craxes on the beach, which is awesome.
Please.
Oh, Daemon is here to save me. My prince.
Just
God damn.
I laughed. I thought that was so funny.
It was crazy. Like his blood just awful.
I thought
popped
it was
like
funny.
A grape, dude.
He got crushed. And he was getting eaten by crabs and then got crushed by a dragon.
Horrible fate. Terrible. I love the way that the crab feeder's forces are just brutal. But that is really at the end of the episode, we see Daemon take on the crab feeder and kill the crab feeder. So crab feeder's gone, but man, did we get some great scenes featuring his army and Daemon and Corlys Velaryon going at it.
So we talked about this on the car ride to church yesterday.
Or going home. One of the
Yeah, it was. I think it was on the way, because one of the things that like we talked about that I have been struggling with this season is actually I was texting Joe once I watched Rings of Power. So I'm not going to talk about Rings of Power, but I'm going to talk about its relation to House of the Dragon, because I'm really excited that both of these shows have come out.
They're very different at the same time. I realized
because they're both very different, but you can also see kind of the difference in how they're going in similar directions in a lot of ways. One of the things that I was talking to Joe, I was like, dude, I love Rings of Power. I'm really excited for this show. I honestly, and I said to him, I said, I think this show starts out much stronger than House of the Dragon. And to Joe's point, he knowing kind of how I am and like what I watch and everything, made a comment about, I think you just aren't a fan of the politics, because that is what Game of Thrones is.
Very much so.
And
yeah. It's all about the game.
And I totally understand that, but in my head, I actually love the politics. My issue is that
that's right.
In Game of Thrones, when we talked about when they go into the politics, they first make you get invested in these characters. Perfect example. Sean Bean's character of Ned Stark.
Yeah.
Within the first like 3 to 4 episodes, you are invested in his character. You are rooting for him. You're rooting for his family and everything. And then bad things start to happen to his family, and you're like, no, not the boy. He's now crippled. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Now they're going to King's Landing. I don't know why I'm doing this voice. They're going
due to all the political maneuverings.
They're going to
see this man and his family start to fall.
And you start to see the Game of Thrones being played, and you start to see how he's not good at playing it. And so then you start to see how he gets manipulated in that. Yeah. And in that way, because I already am a huge fan of these characters, because they actually made me care about these characters in the first 4 episodes, that game is being played and I am invested, because I'm rooting for the underdog, but then I'm watching everything else take place. And then that's when you start getting invested in the other characters playing at the Game of Thrones.
And it's so interesting because you get all these different
Thrones is amazing.
You get all these different houses and facets, and they each have their like Otto Hightower, for example. He wants his family to be in that spot. He wants Alicent. He wants him up there.
First episode, the Otto Hightower instantly piqued my interest. The problem is that the first episode did not make me give a crap about Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra is not likable at all. Rhaenyra is not likable at all that first episode. And then the second and third episode are showing us like, hey, you need to care about this person. Yeah. But they didn't do a good job in the first episode of making me care about this person. And so then second and third episode just kind of felt like, oh, poor you.
She did feel a little bit, I agree. I wasn't super invested in Rhaenyra, which is a shame because like this is all about her, right? She does feel like her story is held back a little bit in that regard, because I did feel like her coming was late to the game, because
for sure
you got Viserys doing his thing, and Daemon of course is a scene stealer and everything, but
oh yeah, absolutely,
yeah, no, I get you there.
But that's because perfect example, Daemon's character in the first episode, he has charisma, he has that mean streak, he has a side of him that you don't. He has a side of him that you don't fully understand, and you can see it bubbling at the surface, but we're not sure what that is.
Jaded.
And you start to see that come up the more he talks to his brother, the more he reacts to other people. It makes you interested in seeing his character moving forward. And so then by episode 3, I'm very invested in Daemon's character. And when Viserys says, you know what, I'm gonna send some soldiers to help my brother out. I'm not gonna leave him hanging. And that messenger gets to Daemon, and Daemon kicks the crap out of him.
And then beast mode.
And then he goes, you know what? I don't need you.
He will solo this whole army by himself if he has to. He's not gonna let his brother send in the reinforcements.
Exactly. And the best part is, in that moment, you're like, you understand exactly what's happening. You get it. It clicks.
Yes.
Rhaenyra, her story did not click until this episode. Like, this is the first, episode 3 is the first episode that I actually gave a crap about where she's at. Like I think honestly, I love the time jump because it pushes us so far ahead that you kind of have to fill in the blanks in some places on like what she's been through the last 2 years. And I actually like that. Like, I think it gives her character there's a sorrow there that I actually connected with, and I actually really like her character now, like moving forward. But the problem is, for me, is she's the main character of this. Like, it's obvious that she's the main character. She is the main character of House of the Dragon, and it took me 3 episodes to actually care about the main character.
It's also I think this problem with that character is elevated even more because we know that we're not going to spend a lot of time with these characters in their current forms, right? They're not going to be children forever because we know that their older selves have been cast,
right?
And they're coming, right? So I think there's going to be a huge turnaround in the middle of the season where Viserys is going down, and then we're going to cut to like 5-10 years later when they're grown, and then you really start seeing the ramifications of that. That's what I think anyways. But I think for me, Rhaenyra started clicking when she and Daemon met on the bridge, and that was just such a fantastic scene.
True.
You have all the facets of the politics, but also just the standoff and the threat of war, and Rhaenyra coming in to swoop in and save the day shows that she's actually starting to take an interest in this. And then you have the metaphysical side of this, where the white stag appears to her instead of Aegon. Aegon and Viserys kills, and really sloppily kills, I might add, just another way to show that he's losing his grip, man. A brown deer, something that's lesser, and they take a lot of time to kill that thing, and that's because I don't think Aegon is the true heir. It's still Rhaenyra. She still has the best claim to the throne, and showing that stag come near her and the fact that she killed that boar really shows that she's starting to really believe in herself and want that. Like, that's what she's renewed her purpose in that. And I really love the conflict between her and Alicent. I thought their dynamic in this episode really was great because that's some fantastic drama. When you have this friend who may be more than a friend, I think there was a little something going on there. But then you turn around and have that friend marry your father, and now all of a sudden you're related to this person, and that's just classic Game of Thrones with the familial relationships. Very complicated, but creates great drama, man. It's so good. It's well written too, and it's fantastic.
And I love, like, at the end of the day, all 3 of these episodes are very well done, very good television, and I think episode 3 is definitely my favorite so far.
Yeah, me too.
One of the things we wanted to mention is that we did get a comment on last week's episode because we were talking about the Iron Throne, and we were talking about the fact that Viserys is getting stabbed by the Iron Throne.
He's degrading.
Yeah,
he's losing it.
And in episode 2, he sliced his finger. What if? I didn't catch this, but Landon let me know because he watched a YouTube video, is that if you look close, Viserys doesn't have 2 fingers. So
his left hand is missing his pinky, which he cut, and then the infection must have spread to his other hand. So he's only got 3 fingers over there.
He's being infected by the Iron Throne. Now, going back to this comment, so we were kind of talking about how, like, what our theories on the Iron Throne cutting him was. And we got a comment from Damon Targ. Apparently, he came out of
prince of the Stepstones himself.
Came out of the books and graced us with his presence.
Yeah. How about that?
Let us know that, and I'm going to just quote. I'm just going to read it here. It says, "In the books, the small folk believe rulers who cut themselves on the throne are unworthy to sit in it. Joffrey in the books would always cut himself." That's really cool. That's a great. I love that little tidbit. Because it really does. It gives further context to what we've kind of been seeing over these last 3 episodes, and is that Viserys does not know how to play this game. He really doesn't. He is, like you've said, a peacetime king.
Peacetime king.
That is the only thing. He doesn't know how to play politics.
But also the other side of it is, I think he does know how to play politics. He just doesn't know how to. He wants to please everybody. He had a line in this where he was like, drunk off of wine. First of all, he got shit-faced that night, and he's out by the bonfire, and he's got his wine, and Allison comes out to him. "What's wrong, my love?" I don't know if I chose Rhaenyra, if that's the right thing to do. And he's like, "I'm surrounded on all sides, and I feel like the people that I'm trying to please are just letting others down." And he's playing this back and forth where he just can't see the way that he's supposed to go. He's upsetting people, but he's also pleasing people, and it's just a back and forth. And I think that is just fantastic, because this whole season is just the downfall of Viserys. And he is currently the only glue keeping things together, because there are whispers, right? There are whispers of who is actually going to take the throne, who is going to succeed Viserys. And no better was this shown in the episode than Rhaenyra sitting in on kind of the women talking and gossiping about all of this stuff, and that war is on the horizon. It's just a matter of when. And who is going to sit, once Viserys does go. And there's no way he's lasting the end of the season.
Yeah. Oh, there's no shot. I do think I did really love kind of the end side of this episode with Viserys' conversation with Rhaenyra, kind of letting him know, hey, you are my heir, and he
decides by the end. That's right.
Changing that, and that's really cool, because you do. Yeah, this is a guy who is known for his indecision, and you finally see him decide. You finally see him decide. Okay, I'm gonna go help my brother. You see him decide. You know what, Rhaenyra, you are going to be my heir. And honestly, at the end of the day, the craziest part is that we just saw him spell his doom in that moment of finally making a decision on two different fronts. It is spelling his doom, because it's going to fire Daemon up to a point that he isn't going to be able to control. And then on top of that, we know what's coming. And Rhaenyra is going to be a very big player in that, and it is going to break the houses. As the prologue to this entire show stated, that the guy who chose Viserys, I don't remember his name right now, or maybe it was Aegon.
Some different form of Aegon or Valerian or
Aegon the First or whatever.
They've all got an AE in their name somewhere. They all sound the same.
He said the biggest truth is that the only thing that can take down the house
of the dragon is
the Targaryens themselves. The Targaryens are the only ones who can take the Targaryens down, and that's what we're going towards.
And that's also going to spell the downfall of the dragon as well, because the dance of the dragons is just how, and the captivity that the Targaryens have kept the dragons in, that's part of it too, because once we get to Game of Thrones, those things are gone. They're not around anymore. And it's crazy that Daenerys even has the 3 that she has, but we're going to see that. I think the series is 5 seasons long. I think it's confirmed that that's what they're going for.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So he mentioned Joffrey, and I was watching a video. There's actually a Joffrey Targaryen. I think he's on the Greens. He also rides a dragon, which is kind of cool. But the other thing I was going to say is there was not much Otto Hightower in this episode, but when he did show up, do you remember what he was kind of talking to Viserys about? He was like, you should have Rhaenyra marry Aegon.
Yeah. That was some cousin stuff.
That's a bad Hightower take. Listen, Otto, I respect you and the game you're playing and the politicking and everything, but man, that's a bad one. Come on, Otto.
No, thank you. Bad call, dude.
The other thing too is interesting about this conversation. We haven't once mentioned the end battle, amazing, but that's how cool this stuff is and how invested I am.
Super important. Yeah.
No, it looked great. And Crowd Feeder ended up not being really that important at all. But what was important is what it meant to Daemon and how he kind of came into his own through that battle.
He's an absolute badass.
Certified.
He's
100%. But
that's all you can say.
I'm so intrigued in just the game, right? That you were saying.
Yeah, for sure.
the battles are great. The dragons are cool. I kind of have an issue with how the dragon just was like swooping in, and it's like, why don't you just use that thing and kill everybody? But
yeah, literally just land the
I'm
thing,
glad that the dragons are going to go extinct, because damn, it's just a deterrent, and it's I want to see the battles.
Land the dragon, point the dragon's face towards tunnels, and blow fire.
Dude, just starve them out.
You're done. You're dead. Everybody's dead. Everybody is dead. There's just these. This isn't Smaug. You know, he doesn't have like a weak spot. All right, that they can go after. You know, they can shoot Damon, but like literally land the dragon, point dragon towards tunnels, and you just burn everybody in the tunnels.
Exactly.
Literally,
just starve them out.
Easy.
I like that we did see that the flaming arrows did sort of have an effect on Caraxes. He kind of had to. And then he got out of there. And then at the end, we did see Damon.
They're a deterrent. They're a deterrent at the end of the day. Yeah, I don't have anything more to say. I think that's pretty much all
I have. I mean, there's some great parallels between Jon Snow facing down.
All right, so we have a dilemma here. We have a dilemma here. We're already through an hour, and we haven't talked about Lord of the Rings of Power.
Let's do it now. We'll just talk for another 10 or 20 minutes.
So we're going to talk about the first. We're going to talk about the first episode.
Let's do it.
Again, dude. Okay. So first off, I love this show. Mm-hmm. Literally, instantly, the minute it started, I became in love with this show. This ends with Galadriel jumping into the water. Yes.
I only watched the first episode, and it did end with Galadriel not deciding to go into the Great Beyond.
I just want to make sure that that's where we end, so that I don't spoil anything moving past that. I took this episode does a really good job. So this is actually something we talked about yesterday as well, and I wanted to talk about it more on the podcast. This show does something that House of Dragon, I think, kind of fumbled the bag on to me. You know, when Lord of the Rings first came out, that first movie has that epic prologue, right? And it gets you all caught up on everything you need to know for the history of Lord of the Rings.
Right.
This episode does that
very well,
but does that in a way that still incorporates the rest of the story. Like you learn it through this episode. You learn because we're going from Galadriel's point of view, and Galadriel is the main character, especially of this episode. Mm-hmm. And it looks like at least one of the big main characters of this first season.
That's a huge main character.
You see her history through her eyes. So you get to see the trees, the great trees. And then you hear about how Morgoth, you hear how Morgoth destroyed the trees and corrupted them.
And like all of Middle Earth engulfed in war.
This thing is gorgeous. This show is absolutely gorgeous. They do a really good job of bringing you up to speed, especially if you don't know the lore of Lord of the Rings. So as someone, I
can vouch for that.
I can gush over this show forever. And I want to talk more. I think episode 2 really starts to focus in on. Oh, okay. No, this does happen in episode 1, which we'll get into. I have a theory, but I want to hear your side because really the biggest thing that I want to talk about in this episode is the guy who comets down to Earth.
Oh yeah.
Theory I have about that. So let's
this whole episode was bookended by amazing events. I'm talking like gold standard television. That whole opening montage of Galadriel and her brother Finrod. I was like writing down names and locations just so I wouldn't forget anything. The only person I remember from the memory is Galadriel and Elrond. Sure. But Finrod. So her brother dies. That's her whole motivation, which I think is great. And that's what's driving her, right? And that's why she's so tough on her, her compatriots and everything. I think she was a little bit overbearing. I don't think that she's a great leader, but that's going to be probably her arc, is learning.
I think that's the point. Is that